Lily is only 21 but grew up across the world. Surviving a devastating earthquake was just one chapter in a life that taught her resilience beyond her years.
I grew up kind of all over the world, but I was born in San Diego in California. My dad's a diplomat, so he worked for the US State Department, and he only recently just retired. So even when I was born in California, they were living in Tijuana, Mexico. From there, just gone country to country. I would definitely say adventurous for sure. I feel like I got to experience a lot of things that people my age probably haven't experienced just because of the nature of how I grew up and the way that I was immersed in so many different cultures. So I think I'm definitely privileged in that sense. And I would say a lot of times privilege has negative connotations around the word, but in my sense, I'm really grateful for it. I feel very blessed that I was able to experience all these things and kind of see the way different people live their lives and immerse myself in these different cultures, and also just meet people and get to stay in contact and have all these connections from all over the world. That's pretty cool. But it didn't come without its challenges for sure. I feel like I also did have to experience some sort of like great losses and things like that that a child my age probably wouldn't have experienced if I kind of grew up in the US, similar to a lot of my peers here. But I think that all kind of shaped me to who I am and like made me more resilient, more carefree, I guess, in how I live life. Lafayette College, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm majoring in international affairs, and then I'm minoring in data science. I would say definitely Nepal. I lived there for the longest amount of time. So I lived there for 4 years. And so I was able to make really deep connections. Also the time period I lived there from ages 7 to 12. And so I would say it's a pretty formative time where you're not old enough to want that independence and freedom of kind of being without your parents and going out to malls or etc. And so I was fine with not having that because I was able to kind of go to friends' houses. We had a good community there. I would just say those are definitely my best memories. Like I loved the school, I was doing all these activities, and I think that's just something that I cherish a lot, and I still stay in contact with a ton of my friends from that time period. We did live there during the big earthquake in 2015, so that was pretty hard and challenging. But again, just seeing the way that the people came together afterwards was really heartwarming.
You enjoy hearing real people share unforgettable stories. Please subscribe.
So it was a Saturday, and I remember I had my friend's birthday party later that day. Me and a bunch of my friends kind of loaded into the car. My parents were at, we called it the American Club. It was just, it was a place where all the diplomats could go, and they had tennis courts, a baseball field, a gym, pools. My parents kind of stayed there, and we all went to my friend's house. A lot of the houses there are built with earthquake detectors, and so you can set them to the level that you want. In my house, the earthquake detector I think was set to like a 4 on the Richter scale. 30 to 45 seconds after it would go off, you'd start feeling the earthquake. We were upstairs, and the earthquake alarm went off, and we kind of were all like, oh, should we go outside? But she turned and said, no, like our earthquake detector is set really low. It's gonna be fine. So we went downstairs, and pretty much once we hit the ground level, we started feeling rumbling, and you hear it first. It's really weird. You can hear stuff rumbling, and then the floor kind of just started like shaking really tremendously. I would say like we were all kind of jolted up. We were running out. My sister ended up falling and got a cut, I think like on her ankle or something. I have a cut on my chin. And the hardest part was right after it, just the waiting, because all phone lines were down. We were outside of the city at that point, so about like a 45-minute drive from where my parents were at, and we didn't know if they were okay, they didn't know if we were okay. And there was a couple aftershocks after that, but we just kind of stayed outside. And then a couple hours later, my mom and another one of our family friends, who her kids were also at the birthday party with us, picked us up. And I think that drive back was probably the hardest part of it all, because everything was destroyed. A lot of the drive, my mom and my friend's mom had to cover our eyes. Like they weren't really letting us look outside just because there was a lot of grief happening as well, but we could still hear it, like all the screaming. Like it was definitely felt. We managed to get back to the American Club. My mom or dad went back to our house to get our go bag, which was just packed with like some essentials basically that we would take in an emergency. So they grabbed that, and then we all went to the US Embassy. And so for the first couple days, it was only people that worked in the embassy and their families that were sheltering in the embassy. And then they opened the doors up to any American citizen, and that's when it kind of got hectic. And I think that is probably also when I realized that humans aren't always good in the sense that there wasn't a lot of food to go around. So all the adults were meant to be eating MREs, which are like the military meals. And then all the kids were meant to have the actual food. It was like eggs, like cereal, not like actual food. And I just remember a bunch of these adults just trying to like bite their way into our line. Like they would push us, they would try and grab our food. And it was really weird because I'd never seen adults act that way. After about a week of that, we ended up leaving the country. My mom's half Hungarian, and so they were having a family reunion in Hungary, and my grandpa, we didn't even know he was doing this, but he pretty much just emailed my mom tickets for my sister, my mom, and I. My dad had to stay behind because he was still working there, and we got on a plane and were there for about a week and a half. And then when we got back, things were as normal as they could be. Like we were back in school. Everyone had like a whistle and a flashlight that they would carry around their neck. None of us gotten too badly injured. There was some that had like a rib broken or two. My immediate friend, family, community, there wasn't too much of a physical impact, more of like a mental one. Going to college away from my sister, I have an identical twin sister, and we're very, very close. She's also my only other sibling. I don't have other siblings. I'm fortunate enough to be good friends with her as well as just family. So we share a ton of things. Going through the way we did, it was easy to always have someone and not always be the new kid alone. And I think she's definitely the more outgoing one, and I'm more introverted. And so it was very easy to just kind of be behind her and have her lead and have her find our friends, have her kind of establish our place. And I never really had to kind of put that work into, make myself known and get friends. She kind of did that work for us. And so for college, she was always set on Northeastern and Boston, and I knew that I didn't want a big city school. And so I really had to make a tough choice of, do I follow what's comfortable and what I've always known, or do I follow something that I want, but it might be scary and it's completely unknown and foreign territory? But I ended up obviously doing that, and it's worked out. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that. Separate myself finally, yeah. I think if I was granted one wish, it would be able to teleport and transport to my sister whenever I wanted to, because whenever we're traveling to visit each other, we visit each other about once every other month or once a month. But we're always texting each other like, oh, I just wish we could teleport. I just wish I was here right now. I just wish you were here right now. So I think that would be my one wish. That would be really fun. I think in high school, my last 2 years of high school, I went to a boarding school in the UK, and we did the International Baccalaureate program, IB, and it's a pretty rigorous program. And I think I was so focused on trying to always do my best and achieve the top marks, I kind of lost myself in the academics of it. And I ended up doing really well, and I'm really proud of how well I did. But I think I could have gone back and taken time to spend more with my friends and not left all these hangouts early to go back to my room or study. If I could go back, I would tell myself, like, you're gonna do fine. You can go have a little bit of fun and spend time with your friends. I love to share, and I wouldn't say I almost get insulted or hurt when people don't accept what I'm sharing with them, but I think it's just in my nature to share. I mean, things like since birth, I've shared everything. So I think I'm a really good share, and in that sense I also care for people a lot, especially if I'm close to them. So growing up, my mom would always say that failure isn't defined by the outcome but by the process. A lot of the times they weren't really hard on us on academics or anything. It was kind of I was hard on myself. I would always get put down when I wouldn't get a mark I wanted, and I did all this studying or put all this effort in it, and just hearing that would always make me feel better, because it's true. I mean, just the fact that you tried and you put yourself out there and you did this task, that's the win, and not trying would be the failure. Probably Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'd want some advice how to navigate a world, especially now where it's kind of so turned against me and the profession I want to pursue, and not everything's falling in place. How do you navigate that? I definitely want to do something in international affairs, political science. I had always kind of thought about State Department growing up, just being in that lifestyle and living it and really loving it and enjoying it. I always imagined myself continuing it, and it's also, I don't really know anything different, and so I think that just is the most comforting to me. I think I'd want to be a flight attendant. The ability to travel and go to all these really cool places, I think that's just really has always been something I find fascinating. And also just having to travel a lot, I also just have a lot of respect for flight attendants. And so I think that if I could do that with no restraints, I definitely would want to try that. Definitely sushi. I love sushi, yeah. I would say Bhutan. I really loved it when I went. Tiger's Nest was really cool to see as well. Ooh, a whale shark. I find them really fascinating. I've always wanted to swim with them. The Glass Palace. It follows 3 different generations of a family in between the fall of Burma and Myanmar. Probably one of the Mission Impossibles or a James Bond, that sort of movie. Yeah, I love those. Growing up, I feel like that's everything we would watch. Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoy more stories like this, please subscribe. Want to share your story on Talk to Me? Leave a comment below and your story could be next.